Where was that all season? Where was that the last couple of times the Toronto Maple Leafs played against the Columbus Blue Jackets? That seems to be the sentiment from people online, people in the chat here tonight. Game 76 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Columbus Blue Jackets here tonight 5-0, taking a strong position here as first place team in the Atlantic Division, opening up a little bit of a gap against the Tampa Bay Lightning, opening up that gap against the Florida Panthers there now. Well, a whole other discussion that we'll get into at some point, I'm sure, in the show tonight about what the hell is going on with Ottawa potentially catching up to the Florida Panthers and how it would be so Leafy if you end up getting first in the Atlantic and Ottawa catches Florida, and then you've got to play the Panthers in round one. Like, wouldn't that just be the most Leafy result of all time? Like, why would things go any differently for the Maple Leafs other than that, just given who they are and what we have to deal with as a fan base? But regardless, we'll break it all down here tonight. We'll talk about what went right, one of the most predictable things of all time in a certain goal scorer who potted not only one but two, and we all knew it was coming here tonight. Like, if you didn't know that outcome was coming, this was potentially your first Maple Leafs game of the season, because, I mean, not only is this team just the most predictable group ever, but sometimes they just do stuff that is just like, yeah, that we should have known. That one we could have been aware of, that thing was coming. We'll get into all of that and the superstars showing up here tonight. And it's all a presentation of Bet365. Pretty pumped to have Bet365 here all year. We have done well betting on Bet365, despite what 6 1/3 might try to tell you in the chat there about how things have gone. It's been a pretty good season. So let's talk about it. Let's get into everything that went right here. Let's start, first of all, with showing up on time. You know, it's one thing that we've always joked about, and like Mike Babcock brought it up, and it was like one thing when he first started, and then it got to the point where it made us want to smash our heads off the wall. Like, it's a reality. You need the guys to start on time, and it's something the team has struggled with. Right out the gates, the first line had a tough shift. So they get kind of hemmed in their own zone. A couple of good chances for Columbus. I feel like that's never the way you want to start, especially in Scotiabank, given the tense atmosphere you get in there already. I mean, you know, things aren't going your way. People aren't in their seats. It's normally a quiet building anyways. You are not going to get the crowd behind you if you open things up behind the 8 ball. I'm not necessarily just scoring, but you're chasing the play. You're on your heels defending the entire time. I mean, start a little bit slow there, and then you find a way to get out of it. Like, that's the thing that I want to give them credit for. It was Columbus came out the gates ready to go. They had jump. They had life. They came out ready. They came out with some offensive pressure. They had a good chance down the side. Pass to Werenski, who ends up driving, and it's a guy like Chris Tanev. And this is where you kind of realize in these moments who the players are that you have in this group. And the ability for guys to just snuff out chances and to kind of calm things down in your own zone. Like, think about in years past, that's Justin Hall, that's Martin Marincin, that's Nikita Zaitsev, Igor Ozhiganov. They're trying to get across and break up that pass as Werenski's coming down the wall. It's 30 seconds into the game. I mean, you're looking at Ilya Samsonov or Freddie Anderson. They're going to let a weak one in short side. And it's Anthony Stolarz gets across, gets good positioning on the post. He's tight to it, so it's going to be a hard one to get past him. He doesn't traditionally let in those weak ones like that. And then Chris Tanev goes sliding across face first at Werenski in a perfect spot. I mean, the face first is nuts on its own, but it's a face first, and it's in a perfect body position to, A, make sure that Werenski can't shoot that puck because he takes away time and space. He's on him fast. He doesn't have the room to shoot. But he also takes away the pass. Werenski's only option at that point is going around behind the net. Goes around behind the net as he gets out around the back, looks out front into the slot. Marchenko's there. Marchenko has an opportunity, but then it's Matthew Knies with a strong stick on him, eliminates that opportunity, and the Leafs get out of it. Like, I feel like through the stretch, basically from the end of December through to probably, that week before leading into Four Nations where you went on a run, like outside of that week, you look at that about a month and a half, 2-month period of time, the Leafs would have let that dictate the rest of the game. And they probably would have been under fire for the rest of the first period. They would have let it get the best of them. Tonight, they just ended that. They allowed that one shift to be a little bit tough. You calm things down, you got the puck out of the zone, and then it's the second line who comes out over the boards and has a great follow-up shift. I mean, even on that second shift, you're looking at just specifically up the ice, 2-on-1 opportunity. Willie on the left side wall with his stick over to the middle. As he's driving up, he's waiting for Tavares to come up behind him on the 2-on-1. A great back check by Fantilli takes that opportunity away. Willie pauses, cuts back across, patience with the puck, confident with the puck. Gets over across to the other side, hits the stop up, opens himself up some time and space. He backs everybody off, and as he does so, Simon Benoit comes crashing into the zone. He hits Benoit across the other side, and they get a good opportunity. And then, bang, from that point on, the Leafs built and built and built. And Columbus pushed back. I mean, you heard everyone talk about in their pregame press conferences and all that kind of stuff that Columbus is going to be a hard team, a hungry team, an aggressive team, playing a playoff style of hockey. And I think for the most part, they did here. The Leafs have let this kind of get the better of them the last couple of matchups. They didn't tonight. You played a pretty good, tight game. You didn't allow Columbus the middle of the ice. You didn't allow Columbus to have crazy high-danger opportunities where it was chance after chance after chance. One of the positives here, too, it's like something you talk about in basketball or in lacrosse a lot, where it's like that shot comes, and, in those sports, it's a lot of transition. You can get down into the offensive zone, and you can maintain pressure because after the shot clock, you got to rebound back, and then you maintain pressure. You get one high-danger chance, you recover it. You go back at it again. In hockey, or in this game here tonight, the Leafs found ways to have, one chance happened against us, one high-danger chance happened, and that was it. Like, Columbus would have a good shot, like that JVR shot there in the third period that Brandon Carlo tipped and was probably looking around going, what the fuck just happened? But he tips it. It goes through the legs of Stolarz. It hits Stolar's pad off the post. That could have very easily been, and I mean, at that point, the game's probably out of hand, but that probably very easily could have been like, now we're a little bit tense. Columbus is putting on pressure. Columbus is picking up some intensity. And they just didn't allow that. That shot hits the post, pick up the rebound, off the other way, Leafs are down in the offensive zone. They score after that. Not immediately, but they score after that. Like, the Leafs found ways to have one opportunity against, not turn into 2, 3, 4, and then just have Columbus sustaining offensive zone pressure for a long period of time. They shut those things down quickly. They transitioned up ice. They got down and had chances of their own, and then were able to maintain pressure. We're going to talk a bit about Marner, Matthews, the nights those guys had. 9 consecutive seasons, 30 goals for Austin Matthews. Mitch Marner, career high in assists in a single season there was 70. He achieves that tonight. Before we do, there's credit that is deserved and due for a guy who is not ever going to put up the numbers that those guys do. He's not going to get paid the AAV that those guys have, will, whatever. He's just not. This game tonight, as much as Matthews looked really good and Marner looked really good here, Matthew Knies was the MVP of that line for me tonight. The guy was an absolute workhorse from the opening puck drop to the very end of the game. And you can watch the goals that were scored. You can watch some of the opportunities that were created. You can watch some of the chances that Columbus had that were broken up. And you can quickly attribute certain aspects of those plays to Matthew Knies. He had his hands all over it here tonight. I mean, look, first period, attempts the Michigan, almost has it, which is also funny too because that puck bounces up in the air. He actually catches it again out of the air and then continues to try the wraparound, the high wraparound as Merrick calls it. But the Michigan there, Merzlikins gets across, kind of gets tight to the post, hits a bit of Merzlikins, hits a bit of the post, drops down, hits his pad. Like, it still ended up being a very good chance. He does that in motion. We're talking about a big, strong brick shit house, as I see in the chat there from Debo, power forward, who comes around the net with speed and has the fucking skill to try to pull off the Michigan. And it's not like it was like, oh, he tried and it wasn't close. Like, no. It was this close. It hits the post on his way around. He was on fire tonight from the very first period. Physically imposing, finishing every check, dominating the front of the net. He probably should have had 3-4 goals tonight just based on some of the chances that he got for himself by winning net front battles, establishing position in net front there, winning and boxing out defenders, which is I thought was a kind of funny point that I've heard made talking about Knies, is that he is a forward, and traditionally defensemen box out the forward that goes there. Knies will box out the defenseman. He gets inside, gets his ass down low down in there, gets parked in on top of the blue paint, and creates chances. There were twice on that last power play the Leafs had that Matthews made passes across to him that he could have scored on. There's also the play where Matthews ends up scoring. Knies has 2 chances at the side of the net, batting the puck out of the air. It ends up kind of leading to Matthews' goal because Marner picks it up and comes back around the other side. But you just watch the way he impacts a game, and he is physically imposing. He opens up time and space for the other guys. You know, like, again, just to kind of give him even more flowers. That goal that Matthews scores, great awareness by Marner and Matthews in that offensive zone there. Marner to stick with the play, pick up the rebound behind. Matthews, the hand-eye initially when he was getting it over at the side of the net when Knies was trying to hit that puck in. Then it's Knies who draws the crowd after he just harassed the living shit out of Ivan Provorov in the corner. Just made his life hell. Provorov gets up late. Knies has 2 chances at the side there. And then Provorov comes zipping across and, like, cross-checks Knies. I don't have any issue with what he did there. He's trying to get Knies out of the way, out of the side of the net. Basically comes in and tries to throw Knies down, but everyone is occupied with Matthew Knies. Like, there's a guy on the ice who is a goal away from 30 at that point. There's a guy out there who's achieved 70 assists. You've got a guy chasing 100, a guy who had scored 70 goals last year, and the attention is on Matthew Knies because he's A, that much of a shit disturber, B, that physically imposing, and C, that skilled that he is worth worrying about. And you watch these guys have to consciously be aware of Knies and make sure that he's not out there imposing his will, not getting in the way, and just taking care of Matthew Knies at any given moment because he is a threat as well. That draws an entire crowd over there. Marner picks that puck up, comes around the net, and then hits Matthews, who draws himself out into open ice, basically hitting a fadeaway jumper and buries that thing top corner like vintage Austin Matthews. Like, that's just great stuff all around. And then the other thing, which you guys would have just seen flash up on the screen there that I wanted to kind of talk about right now, but one of the other things that we're looking for, and I keep giving credit every time William Nylander does it, gets in the scrum on last Saturday against Gavrikov. Gavrikov gives him a shot. Nylander swings his stick at him. Nylander and him go back and forth, throwing cross checks. You know, Nylander's not afraid to get in there now. You watch JT, he's throwing jabs at guys. Nick Robertson feels comfortable enough to get in there. There was a moment tonight. We'll see if it lasts. We'll see if this thing continues and if they keep doing it, if they're not going to, pussy around it and they'll be able to maintain this. But Austin Matthews is going to the bench, and he gets some abuse from Kuraly. Turns around and fires a cross-check back at him. And then guess who it is who comes in to his defense? Mitch Marner. Matthews going to the bench. Kuraly fires a cross-check. Matthews, instead of just laughing at him or turning and leaving, goes right at him and throws a cross-check back, and then Mitch Marner comes in and grabs him. Who the fuck knows if this continues? Who knows if it's something they want to do in the playoffs or, maybe against a tougher opponent or when they're not winning 4-0, 5-0. We'll see. That's yet to be determined. But to see that tonight is like an uplifting feeling. Just to have that moment, have that play where you're like, the camera cut to them and I did a double take. First of all, I'm like watching it, like there's no way that was Matthews that turned a cross check. And you realize, okay, yeah, it was. Maybe he's just pissed, like he's trying to get Kuraly off of him. And then you watch Mitch come in and separate the two of them and not just be like, hey boys, break it up, but like grab Kuraly, throw his hand off, grab Kuraly's arm. Like, again, these guys don't need to drop the gloves and go haywire and fight guys. Nobody's asking for that. But I think I speak for a lot of people when I say it was a bit embarrassing when Matthews is getting ragdolled in that series against the Canadiens and he's just laughing and not doing anything. It was a bit embarrassing in the series against Florida when Tkachuk is face washing Marner and he's just standing there. Nobody's asking you to fight these guys. But turn around. Face them man to man. Otherwise, these players, these teams, coaches, everybody's going to know they can just bully the fuck out of you. They can do whatever the hell they want, whenever the hell they want, and you're not going to fight back. You're not going to do anything. And they can just piss you off, piss everybody else off, and nothing is going to come back their way. That was certainly a moment. I mean, I'm trying to think about the words to go in it to describe that play. I'm not going to sit here and yell and scream saying they're different. But that was a moment where I just sat there and went, what the fuck? Who was that? That was Matthews and Marner sticking up for themselves and sticking up for each other. Steven Lorentz, 12th different Leaf forward on this, or 12th different Leaf player, on this team to fight this season. Everybody gets in the mix here now. It took one season under Craig Berube. It took Brad Treliving bringing in some of these guys, or all of a sudden they've dropped their nuts and they're willing to go and willing to stick up for each other and willing to stick up for themselves, which I think is a big thing as well. Yeah, you want to stick up for each other. You want to stick up for the guy next to you and play for the name on the crest. But sometimes they've lacked pride in their own names, it's felt like. They just get bullied and bitched around, and they just have no interest in sticking up for themselves. Watching it now is a little bit different. And I see a comment there. AK said 34 didn't laugh. The clip shows 34 laughing. I know he laughed. My point about it is he laughed in the guy's face. He turned around and cross-checked the guy and laughed. That's a little bit different. Laughing, having some nuts, laughing, having some bite and some pushback is a different thing. Getting nose to nose with the guy and laughing in his face is different than having your back turned and being unwilling to go and actually face the guy. Look, I'm probably making a bigger deal about it than I need to be, and it probably actually doesn't matter that much. But to see that felt good. And again, I spent the beginning of this show praising Matthew Knies here, and I think he deserves all the credit in the world. But those guys around him had phenomenal nights here as well. I think Matthew Knies plays a factor in that. Just him being a big, tough son of a bitch who's not going to take shit from anybody. You watch that Dante Fabro play where, Fabro kind of goes at him and throws a cross check after the whistle. Knies reacts to the cross check, stands up, turns around, goes, it was this motherfucker, and goes right at Fabro, gets right in his face and starts going at him. And then Olivier comes over, and realistically, I mean, that's not the trade-off I want. Matthew Knies for Olivier, but you know, the scrum breaks out. He's not afraid to get back in there. Matthews and Marner, you know what the camera's not doing? The camera's not panning to them skating to the bench when that scrum breaks out. They're at least there. They didn't leave. It's a different feeling from that perspective. It is. I'm going to send the link in there in the chat right now to call into the show. If anybody wants to call in and give your thoughts, how you guys feel about this one. I just opened up by praising the first line, specifically Matthew Knies. I'll touch a little bit more on Matthews and what he did and Marner's nights here. And, you know, like we talked about, Matthews, 30-goal season, 9th consecutive year. This is a down year for the guy, but 9 consecutive years burying 30. That's an impressive feat. Mitch Marner gets a career high in assists, 70 assists here tonight he hits. You know, those things deserve a ton of credit, and it's something I used to talk about a lot more before I got as frustrated as I became with the team over the years. But sometimes you got to put into perspective a little bit what we're getting to watch in real time. And while stuff might piss us off, myself off, Rosie, Nick, producer Vic in the chat right now, well, it might piss us off, and it might piss people off in the chat. There is an element of like, we're witnessing history for a franchise that has been around for over 100 years. Yeah, maybe they don't have the heart or the balls that like Wendell Clark and Dougie Gilmore and Matt Sundin had. Maybe they don't. But we're watching these guys not just cement themselves in history of the team, but like shattering records. Goals in a single season, potentially points in a season is going to be something that's going to come up here soon. You know, maybe not this year, but at some point, watching how many guys are putting up 20 goals this year, double digits for throughout the roster, throughout the lineup. On top of that, you know, even looking around, just being like, where are these guys in the all-time ranks? William Nylander scores his 42nd and 43rd. He's trying to track down. Leon Draisaitl here now, or 43rd and 44th. Sorry, he's trying to track down Leon Draisaitl, catch up to him to the league scoring. You know, it's going to be really hard to do, but this is a guy who can just get on a heater and absolutely rip and bury a couple. And then you hear when he scores his 43rd, like, he's right up there with Wendell Clark on the Leafs all-time goal-scoring list. Like, this is the guy for so long that had just been pushed to the side of like, oh, it's Matthews and Marner, and then JT came in. Oh, and it's JT up there. And then, oh, there's William Nylander just waltzing along, tying Wendell Clark. It's just, that stuff is impressive. You know, the lack of playoff success does piss me off. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't. But seeing something like that on a night like this, it does give me some joy. It does make me happy. Like, it just feels good. Producer Vic, will you care about Marner's cap hit after we win the cup? No, I will not. I'm going to put a poll up in the chat. What am I going to put? I see there's a caller here waiting, so I'm going to get to the caller as well. I just want to, sorry to the caller who's waiting, I just want to get to some of these super chats quickly because there's a massive one in there as well. Let's do this. Is this team different? So much different. Option 1. Whoa. So much different. Kind of different. Not different at all. And actually worse. Those are the options we'll put. 4 options for people there. Okay, what else do we got? Super chats. Let's get to these super chats. As well, reminder, the super chats on the show We do have a Super Chat charity partner this season. It is an awesome initiative that we've got going on here on the show. It is it is very exciting to have them involved here on the show. It's very exciting to have this partnership. Super Chats has always been something that's been a part of my show. It's something that I appreciate you guys taking part in and sending in and just asking your questions and stuff. But this season, we've been lucky enough to have Sick Kids as our partner. You want your question or your comment shared on the show. You want me to answer your questions, talk about it, whatever it may be. You send your question in via a Super Chat there, and I will answer all of your questions and comments here tonight. So let's get into some of these quickly. Let's start with tonight's Super Chats before we get to the callers. 6 Cents Digital. Riley's best in a while, jumping in the rush a lot. I would agree with that. I did think Morgan Riley actually looked pretty active tonight. It looks like him and Brandon Carlo are developing some good chemistry and are kind of picking things up here. It feels like they're starting to actually build something. We saw Brandon Carlo's comments the other day talking about playing with Morgan Riley, what it's like to play with a player like that, the comfortability that he's getting playing with him, and how it suits him and helps his game out. I feel like we're starting to see that. We're seeing it poke through more and more, where just each guy looks more comfortable playing off each other. Dan Freeman with a massive Super Chat here, so I'll play the animation as well. Dan says, and appreciate the massive Super Chat there, $50 Super Chat from Dan. Do we feel comfortable thinking this team plays this way forever now? Or do we feel like this team is peaking too soon and they will leaf it up? I feel this team is pushing each other the right ways to go deep, piling up good wins. Go Leafs, go. Dan, thank you for the Super Chat. What I will say about it is it feels like I don't think they're peaking too soon. I don't think that's fair to say, especially given the history of this team. And 7 games before the playoffs is a little different to say peaking too soon. If it was the last 20 games, then I would say, yeah, maybe you want to lose a few here or there. Like St. Louis Blues, as happy as they are with what's going on, I'm sure there's some people around kind of being like, maybe we should drop one here or there. Maybe we should lose a game. Not, they guys don't actually want to lose games, but that's kind of, tongue-in-cheek of hey, let's not heat up too soon. Let's make sure we go in on the right steps and the right footing. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think they're peaking too soon. Now, the other question, can we trust these guys that this is who they are? I don't think we can ever trust them until we see it in the playoffs. It's a sad answer. It's an unfortunate answer, and I'm sorry about that. But I think that's just the reality of the situation with these guys. We can't trust it until we see it in the playoffs, and there's really no possible way around it. Anyways, I mean, yeah, it's tough. It is what it is. Let's get to some of our callers here now. I don't want people to wait for too long, so we will get to our callers. It is time now for the Crispy Hotline, presented by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 Portable Glass Air Fryer.
Meet the first of its kind. The Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. So you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
All right. The Ninja Crispy, as we get to the hotline here, as we get our first caller of the show in. It is an all-in-one system that includes 4-quart, 6-cup Tempware glass containers and 2 storage lids. The Ninja Crispy is thermal shock resistant and can go from frozen to crispy in minutes. With the Crispy Power Pod, you get the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hands. The 4-quart container fits 4 pounds of chicken or veggies.
The first of its kind.
You can cook a personal-sized meal in 7 minutes in the 6-cup container. Max Crisp, bake, air fry, and re-crisp with the Ninja Crispy. You can prep, cook, and store anything from from crispy favorites to one dish meals. Visit their website in the link in the description and stay tuned for a chance to win a free Ninja Crispy for one of those of you in the chat there. All right, let's get to our first caller of the show here tonight. We had one waiting before we came in. They're on mute there right now. If you want to let us know who we're talking to, who's been waiting, what's going on here tonight, how are we feeling after this one?
I'm doing good. It's actually Alex.
Uh-oh. Well, hold on. All right, there. Go again.
It's Alex. Thanks for having me, Zack.
Alex, what's up?
It's been a while. How have you been, Zack? You been good?
Pretty good. Pretty happy with this win here tonight. I mean, like, this team's opening up a lead here in the Atlantic Division. Getting themselves into a little bit more of a comfortable grounding here. You watch the Panthers losing again. Now it's kind of the Lightning that you got to worry about. But, you know, a game like this tonight, yeah, it's a 5-0 win, and that's a positive sign. That's, you know, we're pumped about that. But you also played a really good game, Alex, so I'm pretty happy with this tonight.
No, for sure. I mean, I couldn't agree anymore. I mean, we've struggled against Columbus the 2 games we played against them earlier this season. So to come out today, going guns blazing and seeing some physicality and some great goals is just a positive thing to see, for sure. And the shutout, too, just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the shutout for Stolarz is also nice, right? Like, we're having this debate, who's going to be the starter. Mike Fami, who's in the chat here all the time here on the After Dark show, he sent me a message after I had Pagnotta on Wednesday, and Dave and I were talking about it, and I said, you know, it feels like we're heading in a direction here now where Stolarz is, you know, taking over the starting role. It feels like maybe the coaching staff is more comfortable with them, and I got some pushback. People in the chat were saying, no, it's going to be Wall, and, you know, I got a DM from Mike, and he said, it's not going to be Wall, or it's not going to be Stolarz, it's going to be Wall. Like, you guys are wrong. Wall's the one with the experience. I get that, but I don't think Berube really cares about the guy who's played playoff games. You know, I think he's just looking at these guys and what he's got in them right now and whether or not he feels like he can trust them. And that's all that matters, because I think people are also forget that it's not going to come through Berube of like, oh, well, Wall's played games and Stolarz hasn't, or Stolarz hasn't started games. He won the Stanley Cup with a goaltender who got called up from the AHL January 8th. Like, that guy wasn't playing NHL games. He was about to be sent to the East Coast Hockey League, and he won Berube a Stanley Cup. I think Berube is going to look for the guy who's playing hot and who's giving him the best effort at that point in time, Alex.
No, I couldn't agree anymore. I mean, the fact we're, like, it's crazy to say, the fact we're having a conversation about which goalie's actually going to start in the playoffs is such a good thing to be actually arguing about, because the fact that we have 2 solid goalies is just a good thing, right? If you think about it. And I mean, I'd ride whoever's hot. Yeah. I mean, right now, I think it'd be Stolarz, but I'd be comfortable with any guy going in net between the 2 of them. So, I mean, like I said, it's a good thing that's a case for us, but I lean a little bit more towards Stolarz for sure, with especially his recent performances.
Alex, look, there's a couple guys here, I think, more than a couple, honestly. There's a bunch of guys in this game who could stand out to you tonight. I led the show talking about Matthew Knies, how great he looked. You know, it almost made it like diminishing Matthews and Marner and what they did tonight, and that's not at all what I'm trying to do. I thought they both were awesome. I watched Knies, and I watched the effort he put forth and how good he looked out there tonight, and I'm like, holy fuck, you know, we're looking around at Matthews and Marner and talking about these contracts and free agency and all that stuff. Like, Matthew Knies is coming up as a restricted free agent here. That's a guy you need to be bringing back as well. But there's also other guys throughout this lineup who had themselves good nights tonight. Brandon Carlo just continues to be consistent. Chris Tanev breaks the single season, which, by the way, I mean, I put out a pregame video today, Alex, and I was like, you know, the Leafs have got a record that's more important than the goal-scoring one, about Chris Tanev potentially taking the shot-blocking record. Obviously as a joke, and someone's like, what the hell are you talking about? The shot-blocking record's more important. Like, you're taking this seriously. But, you know, another great night from Chris Tanev. Anthony Stolarz, an awesome night from him as well. Nick Robertson here, Alex, steps up, and he comes back from being healthy scratched. He buries 2, because why wouldn't he? it's just look around this lineup. Guys stepped up. Guys were able to contribute. Guys were able to get on the board. It was a solid night from everybody. And, even though it was a 5-0 win, it felt like a playoff effort.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, all the guys you brought up, yeah, they played great games. I mean, Knies just, you noticed him everywhere, like the whole game. Like you didn't notice a second where he wasn't effective. He wasn't just floating out there. He was, having some really good board battles, showing some resilience when, he's getting cross-checked and stuff like that. And, getting himself on, what, he had 1 point tonight, I think it was, the assist on the Matthews goal, if I recall. Maybe two.
I think
I know
just
one
had the
for
1
sure.
point, yeah.
The one, but he was so noticeable, and he was only contributing to the one of the
6
5 goals.
shots
if you
on
think
goal.
about it. Yeah, there you go. He was a threat all night. And you brought up like Nick Robertson, and it's always, great to see him come back and always score when he does, because he does it literally every time. He gets scratched for a few games, comes back and lights it up. So, I mean, it's a good thing to see. It's just his consistency needs to stick there. And, I think it's just having consistent line mates and that kind of thing obviously helps his game. But hey, I think it's just good to have an asset like Nick Robertson. Like, we're taking it for granted a little bit, just having someone that can hop in and, has that skill. It's just the consistency factor. But, that's a great look just to have guys like that on the outskirts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I mean, you know what? We're in this cycle with Nick Robertson. And at first it was a joke. Now it's like actually just dead seriously what Nick Robertson does. And I think there needs to be there needs to be an understanding of what Nick Robertson is, that we as a fan base should maybe just all meet in the middle, because there are people on either side of the spectrum on this thing who come in guns a-blazing and will be like, Nick Robertson stinks. Get him out of the lineup. Get him away from my face. I don't want him anywhere near here. And then there's the other side of the coin where they're like, Robertson comes back in. He scores 2 goals in this game. And they're shaking their fists, yelling and screaming, going, how could you ever have this guy out of the lineup? Maybe what we need to accept here, Alex, with this guy, and it's kind of hard to do and just be like, yeah, that's who he is. That's what he is. But maybe he's just a depth piece who can come in and out and contribute. He's not a guy who you want playing all 7 games of a Stanley Cup playoff series in round 1, but he's a guy that you want in the rafters for game 1, and then when you want to get a little bit of an offensive burst, you bring him in for game 2, and he scores in game 2, and you put him back. And I know you don't bank on him scoring every time, but 7th time this season, Alex, that he comes out of the press box from being healthy scratched. 4 goals in those 7 games. He's found a way to get in the back of the net. He might not be an 82-game NHL player, but he might not be an AHL player either. He might just be a tweener guy who can contribute, but he's not, blow you out of the water, 40-goal guy. Maybe that's just who he is.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's looking at like right now. But I mean, if we do think about it, he is a younger player still. He's not old. Some guys find it later, right? But obviously the assets are there. It's just a matter of the kind of player he is right now. And like you said, the way you described it, that's exactly how I would describe him. And I think that's just what people got to accept. I mean, the guy's not making 11 million bucks. Like he's not. People are like, you got to trade him away. Like, dude, the guy's making peanuts on the season. Like, so for him providing he's on 14 goals now. For what he's provided in those games, he has hustle. I mean, he's not, like I said, he's not the most complete player or anything like that, but, he's got skills to his game, and I like his compete out there, especially after getting crushed. He laid out, I forget who it was, but he went and sent a big hit at the guy, and it was just nice to see him come out with that burst of energy the whole game. I think he just had a great night with Matthew Knies, like you said. So just to see that from the young guys, too, is just always super exciting to see, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pose something to you, because I was kind of joking about it, and now it's actually like a possibility. So the Leafs here today, they open up a little bit more of a gap, right? Alex, you get that win. It was Florida who was on your ass, and now Florida's in a little bit of a skid. I mean, you don't have Barkov, Kachuk, no Ekblad, but it's now the Tampa Bay Lightning who are an unstoppable force, who are on your ass. Well, the Buffalo Sabres beat them in a shootout tonight, so Tampa does pick up 1 point, but, it's it just keeps them a little bit away. What do you think about this scenario? I tweeted it out earlier today, and it feels like this is almost the direction we're heading. Ottawa beats Florida today 3-0. They get the 4-point swing in that game, take 2 points away from the Panthers, add 2 points to the Sens. The Sens are now 4 points back of the Florida Panthers. Would it not be the most Leafy situation ever for the Leafs to lock up first in the Atlantic? For the Leafs to close out the end of the season strong, watch Florida wither away into the dust, and you say, thank God, we don't have to deal with that anymore. Tampa's on your ass, you're watching Tampa closely, trying to keep them away, and you lock up first in the Atlantic. Marner gets 100 points. Nylander closes in on 50. You have all these positive stories going on around the team. Another shutout for Stolarz here tonight. Everything's sunshine and rainbows. You get to the end of the season, you look up and you go, holy fuck, the Florida Panthers drop below the Senators, and we play the Panthers in round 1. Would that not be the most Leafy possible outcome for these guys? I mean, we talk all year. Finish first, finish first, finish first. Get the best possible matchup. Dictate your future. Go in and face the wild card team. You wake up at the end of the season after finishing strong, and you go, oh my God, the Florida Panthers are the wild card team.
Yeah, that would be wild. I saw the tweet earlier. I saw you tweet earlier, and I talked to my dad about it too. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be crazy. But I said to my dad, and I'll tell you this right now. I think no matter what, no matter who the Leafs get in the first round, if it's Florida or Ottawa, okay, whatever. If you can't beat either of those teams, then you're not good enough to win a Stanley Cup. It's straight up and out. Like, it doesn't matter if you're gonna get bounced in the first round. Do I want that to happen? No, but I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna move on from Ottawa and then lose to Florida in the second round, you still aren't good enough. So to me, it's like whoever you verse is whoever you verse right now. I mean, better matchups, great. I mean, home ice advantage is a good thing, so that's still something to consider even against these opponents. But if they verse Florida, show us you're a real team. Show us you can compete for a Stanley Cup. You beat Florida. I'll be even a little more optimistic. I know it sounds a little delusional, but be a little more optimistic, and then see who they play in the second. Right, you're gonna go through Florida or Tampa some way or another. So let's see it whenever it's gonna happen, and that's the way I'm thinking about it.
Look, I mostly, for the most part, agree with you. I mean, it's not so much about who's easier to beat, which is like, that's the one thing every time I talk about this that I fear that like Sens fans are going to come and find this clip or find these channels and are going to just grab this and be like, he wanted to play Ottawa. It's like, no. That's not what I'm saying. I think it can be pretty well understood that, playing against the Florida Panthers, who have figured out how to be successful in the playoffs, they beat the living shit out of you. So even if you win that series, you might come out on the other end of it just a little banged up. You'd probably just rather avoid that. And it has nothing to do with Ottawa being easier to beat or anything. It's just like you finish first in the Atlantic. It's you're looking down at the Florida Panthers and you're like, oh my God. Like, of course, this is the one that we get. Like 2 weeks ago, that team was right on our asses trying to take over our spot in first, and now we're playing them because they dropped to the wild card. Like, that would just feel like the most Leafy situation ever, Alex. It really would.
No, exactly. I mean, yeah, when I saw your tweet, I was like, yeah, that's the most Leafy thing to happen. I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens, but yeah, that'd just be the way to go into the playoffs, feeling like they just felt us anyways. And then it's like, game on from there, right? But I mean, hey, like I said, let's see what happens. And I'm excited for the next, 3 weeks here, 3-4 weeks to see, where our fate goes after the first round.
Yeah. Alex, I'm going to get you out of here on this. The Boys on the Morning Show, which everybody should be watching right here on the channel, Leafs Nation 401, their Ninja Crispy segment is the hot take. Now, I'm going to steal it a little bit. I made Vic do it, and I think it'll be fun to have people do, especially as we get closer to the playoffs. Earlier in the regular season, it's like, yeah, that's cool, but like, we can't really test some of this stuff. We can't find some of this stuff out. I'm going to put you on the spot. The boys do their hot take. This is the crispy inbox, or crispy hotline, sorry. But you know what comes up on the crispy hotline? Things can get spicy. You're heating things up in your Ninja Crispy air fryer. We're going to get hot on here. What is your hot take, Alex? Give me something. It doesn't have to be the hottest take in the world, but if you've got something, even just a statement, a thought, what is it? Your crispy hotline hot take.
Man, I'm really putting some thought in this. I think the Leafs are gonna go at least to the conference finals this year. That's my hot take.
There we go.
Calling it here.
There we go. Alex, I know where to message you, so you can't hide from me, and I will bring you back on the show as the playoffs go on, and we will continue to check in and see if you still feel that way based on what you see, what we see over the next 2 weeks, and how you feel into the playoffs there as well. But I appreciate you calling in here on the Ninja Crispy hotline. I appreciate you giving your thoughts tonight, participating in this. Look forward to seeing you in the chat through the rest of the night. And hope to have you call back into the show sometime soon.
I appreciate it, Zach. Thank you. Have a good night.
There you go. There is Alex A. from the chat on the Ninja Crispy hotline. Always a fun time talking to Alex. We appreciate him calling into the show here tonight. So thank you. We got more super chats to get to. Let's run through these, as well as we've got a couple things here I need to answer from the chat and do some housekeeping. So 50 likes on the stream tonight. 50 likes means we do smelling salts. So I owe you guys that. So thank you for liking. Let's get it to 100 and we'll do it again. But 50 likes on the show. Let's do the smelling salts. Leafs Nation 401. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button here on the stream. Thank you. There we go. There's the smelling salts. Oh. All right, let's get to some super chats. So, KPG. Super cool of Olivier not to destroy Benoit. Big props to Benoit for answering the bell. And then tying into this one, I'm just going to do them both at the same time. I think you guys will understand. So Sangnam says, credit to Benny for not dying versus Olivier. So, I'm curious what you guys think. Maybe I'll put this poll up in the chat here, actually, and get your thoughts on this one. Because results of the first one, is this a different team? Kind of different is 55%. So much different is 35%. Not different at all is, well, it just moved. But 8% now, and actually worse is 2%. I'm going to call it at that. That is the end of that poll. So kind of different is the winner. I want to know what you guys think about this one. So Olivier versus Benoit. And then I want to know, I'm going to put options here. Olivier went easy. Benoit held his own. Benoit just held his own. And neither Olivier was just tired. Because I think that that's a fair option as well. I want to know how you guys feel about this. We were having a discussion in the group chat trying to figure out what happened. You know, the Leafs Nation team just talking about everything that had gone on in that fight and why the fight even happened in the first place. And the first thing that was thrown out was like, I kind of get the feeling that Olivier kind of went easy on him. It's late in the game. I think he gave Benoit the fight. Like, they were both just tied up. You know, something happened in the neutral zone. I don't think that Olivier fully saw it. And, you know, the reason I think that, this is no disrespect to Benoit, but Olivier's the baddest motherfucker in the NHL right now. You know, I think there was an element of him being a little bit worn out at the end, and also an element of him being like, we'll give you the fight, you know, pump some people up, we'll throw some swings, and like, that's it. Worm castings, Olivier tagged him right away and knew he would destroy him. I kind of get that feeling. Olivier gave him some shots, pushed him around a little bit, and then was like, okay, I think I'm going to beat the wheels off this guy. We're just going to push around, throw a couple jabs, that's it. Because I get the feeling that if Olivier wanted to, he probably could have shit-kicked Benoit. And I say that with all due respect to Benoit. Like, Benoit had to be a willing combatant in that one. Olivier did not chase him down. Benoit was right there, ready to go from the jump. You know, credit to him for standing in there, being ready to go, being ready to face him, going and staring that guy down in the eyes and, like, being willing to drop the gloves. All the credit in the world to Benoit. I think there was an element of Benoit being in there holding his own and not just getting shit pumped. But I think Olivier held up. The other thing to me that makes me think that was, and I don't have the video of it, but Olivier at the end, you could tell he kind of was like, okay, we're good, right? Like there was no animosity. And I kind of feel like he was just like, hey, we did what we had to do. Like, we're good to call this thing, right? Like, we're okay to shut it down. We're okay to just finish this thing, go to our penalty box, call it a day, right? And then they both said, yep, we're good. Thank you. That was it. Thought that was kind of funny, but I was interested to see. Right now, leading the vote, 42% Olivier went easy, 27% Benoit held his own, 30% neither Olivier was just tired. So, yeah, I mean, I think it could probably be a bit of both. We got more super chats. Dan says, let's go, you guys. We haven't seen Philly snorting up the salts in a while. 50 likes gets that done. Yes, Dan, it does. Thank you. We did do the first round of smelling salts. That got us to 50. If we can get to 100 here now, which we are inching closer and closer, I'll do them again. But Dan also says, this is in regards to the conversation I had with Alex about the idea of potentially playing the Florida Panthers in the first round based on us first, Ottawa catching them, yada, yada, yada. You get the gist. Says, shut up, Philly. If Florida ends up in the wild card, we play them. It's your fault now. Like jinxing a goalie shutout. Dan, I mean, I'm not actually, I don't think Florida's going to get caught. You know, I think that they're going to kind of pick this thing up. They do not want to go into the playoffs limping. They have the wherewithal about them to at least do that. It's also, by the way, like, Tampa is right there within their grasp. Like, they could just also surpass Tampa again and get home ice. Now, it's not the biggest deal going from Fort Lauderdale to Tampa Bay to play each other in that series where you're like, oh, damn, like, we got to really travel a lot for this one. But you'd rather it be in your own building. You'd rather take them on and just have your fans behind you more than the opposing fans. But regardless, like, I do feel like Florida is going to kind of kick this into gear. Paul Maurice is going to shut this shit down, and they're going to figure it out. That's all for the super chats that we had there tonight. I do want to get to some of the segments we have on the show before we wrap this thing up. So let's get now to our best bet of the night. Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. That's code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N, to get in on the game. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. So, it's kind of unfortunate. I don't want to like pat myself on the back, but I'm going to do it. So we lost the best bet tonight. We're up 7.84 units on the season. That is $784 of profit. Our record this year is 29 wins and 52 losses, but you know, we just continue to push and push and push and find ways to win some of these big plus money bets. So I talked about it in the pregame show. Nicky Bobby was coming back. Nicky Bobby is going to find a way to get on the board because that's what Nicky Bobby does. Unfortunately, the number available on Bet365 was not what I would have liked it to be betting on. I saw around like the plus 400 range, and I didn't really feel that comfortable with it because that feels like a number that he should be getting if he's playing like third line. You know, he's getting a lot of minutes and he's going to be playing on the second line or second power play. The numbers available elsewhere were plus 600. I told people if those were out there, if you could find some higher numbers to grab some of those, you know he's going to score, blah, blah, blah. We didn't give it as a best bet. He scored. Vic bet it. I bet it. I'm pretty sure a bunch of people in the chat bet it. Dyslexic bet it. I'm glad you guys bet it and won. I wish we gave it out as the best bet for tonight. So, like, kind of going to victory lap it a little bit, but it doesn't go to our record. We're not going to count it in the money won, the record, all that kind of stuff. It's just, I wanted to bring that up because it's like, you know it's going to happen. It's the most obvious situation of all time. And, of course, he scores and we don't get it. But our best bet tonight, just to kind of recap and bring it up and at least be honest and transparent about it, our best bet of the night was Mitch Marner anytime goal at plus 230. We did get the best number that you could have possibly got, the best number in market, and it doesn't come through. It was $50 on Mitch Marner anytime goal plus 230 to profit 115. Mitchie does not score here tonight, so does not go in our pockets. I thought he played really well. I thought he had some decent chances here tonight. He's had some opportunities, especially generated from Knies and Matthews opening him up, but only one shot on goal. If you're playing those minutes and chances and whatever, and you're not burying, you're not shooting it, you're not going to bury. So no goal from Mitch tonight. We don't cash the plus 230. It does bring us down to up 7.84 units, $784. Those are the best bets, or the best bet from tonight, and how we've done so far this season. We'll continue to figure it out as we get to the next game here, coming up later this week as well. We'll break everything down. This week, I'm going to be joined by Rosie on the show, Alberga on the show as well, but this is not the end of the show. We've got a couple more things to get to. Let's start now with our play of the game. Play of the game for me, man. I mean, like, Nicky Bobby, I thought, we didn't even talk about the fact that Nylander scored 2 here tonight. Like, I just barely threw that in and had it brought up, like, at some point. Like, it was like, oh, yeah, you scored 2, keep it moving. I mean, Nylander scored 2, and the goals that he scored, the one was hilarious because just a nasty pass through by Bobby McMahon to find Morgan Riley, who I thought should have shot it. He tries to feed the pass back to McMahon. It was played pretty well defensively, but he recovers it. Leafs maintain possession in the offensive zone, circle things around. It ends up back at Riley at the point. He shoots it through some traffic. Merzlikins for sure should have been able to gobble that up and not let the rebound back out, but it's William Nylander coming around behind the net, scoops up the rebound. As he turns, Merzlikins is expecting him to shoot right away. He kind of gets in position, but Nylander holds, shoots it 5-hole. It's like the patience, the hesitation, the confidence to wait that thing out and shoot it 5-hole like that by Willie, just unreal. And then, Willie again later on, he did it a couple times tonight. And I wrote down, and the reason I want to point this out here talking about the play of the game is like, he all night tonight had found ways to dictate the pace of play with the puck on his stick. A lot of times you watch guys who pick it up and they have to be going at whatever pace the defense wants them to play. The defense wants to slow the game down. They get dragged into it, and it's groggy, and it's slow, and it's sloppy, or whatever it may be. Or the defense is on you, and guys have to just be playing fast within that pace. Nylander finds ways to pick up the puck and say, I really don't give a shit whether you want to play fast and aggressive in attack. I don't give a shit if you want to slow it down. I'm going to play how I want to play. Like a couple of times he joins the offensive zone, like that play I brought up in the first period where he cuts across, holds up, hits Benoit coming in across on the opposite side, and Benoit has a chance. There's the goal that he actually ends up scoring where he comes in across the blue line with speed, bang, ends up stopping back or slowing back down where it's like it draws all of the Columbus defense back down in. It opens up ice for him. He comes across the top of the ice as Columbus defenders try to step up and make a play on him. He gets the shot off and beats Merzlikins. Like, he's dictating pace of play out there. He's determining at what speed he wants it to be played at. He's opening things up for Tavares and McMahon because he does that. He opens things up for himself, and he just royally pisses off defenders having to do that, where it's like, you watch the guy and he's going and he's kind of sauntering around, doing whatever else he wants to do out there with the puck. And then a defender comes over like, okay, we're going to slow dance. And then all of a sudden, Willie turns on the afterburners and he's by you. He had that great opportunity on Werenski in the corner where it's like the rebound bounces out. Werenski goes to pick up the puck and grab the rebound. Willie sneaks in behind him, out-muscles Zach Werenski, who, by the way, is in Norris conversations this year. Like, one of the best defenders in the NHL, Norris conversations. Willie steals the puck from him, out-muscles him, turns back to the corner. Werenski tries to come down and close the time and space and take the gap away, and all of a sudden he just goes, vroom, and wheels past him, protecting the puck with one hand, throws Sillinger for a loop, who misreads that completely and goes behind the net. Willie comes out front, power move, protects the puck, gets around Merzlikins, and gets a decent chance off. Like, this guy is just, I'm going to tell you how I want to play this, and you're going to have to play it. You got to figure it out because I'm choosing the pace of play here tonight. Good luck catching up. That's a long way to say I thought William Nylander was also excellent. Both goals he scored were pretty just high IQ plays. You know, you're seeing skill, maturity, mentality, like all developing in this guy, and just him developing as a player as a whole. It's been fun to watch. That said, my play of the game is going to be the Matthews goal. A couple things that go into it. Talked about it already. The Marner hand-eye at the side. Gets it to Knies, who gets his own hand-eye chances off. Ends up swatting away at the rebounds there after just harassing Provorov in the corner. Ends up going to the front of the net, getting that chance. Provorov comes flying across, chases him down. Everyone on Columbus is watching him. Marner picks up that puck, doesn't panic with it, brings it around the back of the net, goes out the other side, and hits Matthews, who's opening himself up into space, you know, just kind of sneaking away, creeping into that weak spot in the defenders who are not paying attention to him. Hits the fadeaway jumper, top corner, that was in and out of the net so fast. And not only was that a skill play that starts with Matthew Knies being a physical presence, and then Marner's skill and his passing ability, and then it's finished off by Matthews, who rips that thing and looks like vintage Matthews. But another positive in all of that is this team kept their foot on the gas till the end of the game. How many times is it 2-0 going into the third period against a Columbus, or, name your team where maybe it's a team that's fighting to get into the playoffs. Maybe it's just a scrappy team. Maybe it's a team that stinks, but they're playing for fun and they got nothing to lose. And the Leafs will be like, all right, we're in cruise control here now. 2-0, foot off the gas, and all of a sudden you're going, holy shit, it's 2-2. You open up the third period, chances. Willie, 43rd of the year, ties Wendell Clark. Less than a minute in, it's McMahon and Riley off to the races there. 3-0. You open up the lead. Columbus, probably a little deflated. And then you kept going. You kept with the pressure. You kept with the scoring opportunities. Like, you just never let your foot off the gas in that third period, which has traditionally been something this Leafs team has struggled with, maintaining pressure and intensity throughout the remainder of the game. And that fifth goal by these guys caps it off with the 9 consecutive seasons for Matthews hitting 30 goals. Marner there, 70 assists, which is a career high. Matthew Knies is just a fucking weapon all the way around. And it closes out a solid night, helping you win this game 5-0, leading to another shutout for Anthony Stolarz here tonight, who was pretty fucking dialed in himself. So just a good night all around for the boys. Final thing we got to do here before we can close things up, we're going to get to our grade of the game. And the grade of the game segment is presented by Greta Bar YYZ. Look, an unbelievable spot to go to before, during, and after games. I'm probably going to head there myself tonight once we wrap up the show and get ourselves out of here. It's been a little while. I think the Nashville trip kind of got in the mix there and got in the way, but I mean, it was an unbelievable time that everybody should be at next year when we go on the next nation vacation. But got me out of the Greta rhythm, so we'll have to get ourselves back to Greta possibly tonight here. Greta Bar is an unbelievable spot before, during, and after games. Great street food menu. You know, it's something I always love picking up. You know, the garlic parm fries. It's the bao. I always say it wrong. I think it's the bao sandwiches that they've got there. You know, the arcade games that are going on. I'm a big fan of the Connect 4 basketball, air hockey. Like, so those are just fun games to play. And like an active guy can't sit down and do like the Mario Kart forever. Play it once or twice and keep it moving. They've got tons of options. You want to be mobile? They've got that. You want to sit down and play games? They've got that. There's plenty going on at Greta. It's a huge spot here. Weekly drink specials. Greta Bar is the place to be. 590 King Street West. Greta Bar. Let the games begin. Grade of the game tonight. I want to see where you guys are at on this one here as well. Reading some stuff in the chat already. A plus, A plus plus, A plus, A plus, A plus, A plus, A plus, A plus, A. I don't know that I can go with the A plus. I am like an A that's teetering on the A plus. Like, I'm right there. I don't know that I can go to the A plus. I'm like a high-ish A, but not at the A plus. You know, like if you were to do like a percentile where you're like just, you know, like, oh, if you had 1% more, you would have been at A plus. I think, you know, I was close, but not quite there. I feel like probably A plus is like, yeah, there's room for improvement. You know what? Fuck it. A plus. Shutout for Stolars. You scored 5 goals. You went 1 for 1 on the penalty kill. And you went 0 for 1 on the power play, but that power play looked good. They were zipping the puck around. They had good chances. I mean, that thing, they were moving physically around. They were moving the puck around fast. They were getting to new spots if anything ever got stagnant. They got stagnant one time, and it was at the very end of the power play, and the puck got sent out of the zone. You know, that power play looked dangerous. They looked good. They were moving around well. You won the face-offs here, 57.8% in favor of the Maple Leafs, 42.2% for Columbus. 26 face-offs won. You had 24 hits. Columbus had 18. The shots were the same, 27-27, but 5 goals there again. And then, you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to remind people of? You know, something, just another positive here tonight. Let's play the clip. There is Matthews going to the bench. Corrali cross-checks him, and Matthews cross-checks him back. And who is that? Mitch Marner ripping up the fights. Those guys going at it. Willie's not afraid of scrums. Knies jumping into scrums. Benoit fights Olivier. Steven Lorentz fights Corrali, which we didn't even talk about here. Maybe they are a little bit different. Maybe they're not fully different. Maybe they're not the Florida Panthers. Maybe they're different. A little bit. Maybe they're just a little bit different. A plus. A plus. More dangerous chances. More offensive zone time. You were the better team tonight. You kept your foot on the gas the entire time. Kudos to the Maple Leafs for taking this win, especially in one that the fan base was probably a little bit weary of. Oh, and here's for our guy Mario Kart, who's going to come in here and be like, where is it? Have you done it yet? If Mario Kart hasn't said anything, or it comes later and is like, what happened? Deserve to win a meter? 70.6% for the Toronto Maple Leafs, courtesy of Money Puck. There you go. That is all for us on the show here tonight. That'll wrap it up. I appreciate everyone who tuned in. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for following, liking, subscribing. Oh, we got a couple of things I got to do quickly here before I wrap this up. 2 super chats. So let's go to the first one. Dan Freeman. Hey, Philly. This is for you and the kids. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that for the kids, Dan. Mitch Marner's vulva. I kid you not. Mitch Marner's vulva with the super chat. Benny fought Olivier because he refused Marner. Okay. Okay. I don't even know what to say about that one. I'm done with the show here tonight. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Appreciate it. Appreciate you watching, liking, subscribing. If you haven't already, do so. Leaf Station 401 right here on YouTube. This has been game number 76 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Columbus Blue Jackets here tonight. Yes, that's right. They defeated the Columbus Blue Jackets here 5-0, opening up a little bit of a gap for themselves in the Atlantic Division. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for the super chats. I will see you guys in the Maple Leafs next game, which would be on Tuesday night here now, I believe. Actually, Wednesday night. Tuesday night. And then Wednesday night. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. Like on your way out. See you on Tuesday. Keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.